Greetings everyone, Tony here, and I'm not an expert in reloading. Welcome to my reloading bench, and today we're going to take a short look at how to remove the button retainer on some of the Lee single stage breech lock presses. We're going to do this video in a 5W1H format, and it's going to be two blocks. So who, why, and when is going to be block 1, and how, where, and what will be block 2. So let's talk about who, why, and when would you need to remove the retainer button. Lee has launched these breech lock dies that come with the breech lock bushings attached to them. And for me, where I got all my reloading stuff, they're only about a few dollars more than the standard lock ring dice that's out there. Considering for me, each die lock bushing is about $8 Canadian, it brings a pretty significant saving if you're using Lee dies. And personally, I do like Lee dies. But to me, there seems to be some odd design choices with their most recent lock rings, where they have this spline design, which works really well with these little wrenches. But I think for the presses with the little lockdown button, it doesn't work as well. Let's take a closer look. Okay, so now we have moved to a top-down view, and you can see here's the lock ring button right there. Let's get the ram out of the way a little bit. And here's the spline, and you see it doesn't fit perfectly, and I don't think it's ever designed to be. So if we loosen it up a little, it doesn't fit quite right. But I believe it's designed with the older style breech lock bushings, as I have here on a separate die. This one in particular is a Lee Quick Trim die for 223. And you can see there's a dimple there to lock into there. So you can see I also marked one here, so I know at what angle to insert it from, although after a while you kind of get used to it. So let's remove this die. Set aside. You'll see this die is much more suited. So I have the opening here, facing to the red dot, that mark, and I turn until it stops. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. There we go. And then the buttons pops up, unlike the one we have was the integrated bushings. Now it becomes the question, is the removal gonna harm anything? In my opinion, probably not. I think it's the same opinion from Lee as well, because if you see some of their documentation, some of their videos, they're actually showing you not using this button. And I'm actually wondering if having it lined up with the button is actually affecting the consistency of this operation. It might be, I'm not too sure. Okay, so how do you remove the button then? If I've convinced you, you would remove your die, of course, pretty standard. And it's actually simpler than you think. There's no access hole inside, there's nothing. We don't notice it because we only press it, but it's actually not that well retained. You just pull on it, and there's just a blind hole in there. And you have your top button part, and then the spring assembly just on there. It's only holding down by the kind of tail of the spring in there against the press material. In this case, this is the Challenger press, which is aluminum. So also on the Challenger press, since it's aluminum in there, I'm not concerned about any kind of corrosion inside. If you are, give it a swipe of lube once in a while, oil, up to you, but I don't think it's going to cause any harm. So when should you have the button installed versus not? I think if you're using any of the Lee newer style spline design lock ring eliminated or the bushings, I will say have the button removed, just because in my opinion the button is poking up halfway, which is making seating the bushing a little bit more difficult, and probably, I haven't tested, but probably less consistent in my opinion. For this, it's just like any breech lock. You would screw in with the wrench until it stops. That's it. And then you will just loosen it, 6 of a turn, off it goes. And from what we see from the 2023 refresh of the Pro 1000, the brand new flagship progressive press Pro 6000, or the 6-pack, down to the cheapest Lee bench mounted press, the Reloader C-frame press, or even I believe the hand press, all have the same bushing system without the locking button. So I think the locking button is really becoming an anomaly instead of the standard norm, and screwing it down to all the way it goes is just the standard process. So the button is just there for no good reason. It's not like a bayonet mount on a camera where it's a positive index point, but this really doesn't serve any purpose. But if you are using the Breech lock Challenger press as a regular press without a bushing system, that might make more sense for you to leave the button in. Why? I'll show you. If I have a single die bushing, I'm not using it as a bushing, just as a part of the press, I'm going to put it in, rotate it. It's a little easier when you have the die until it locks, and I'm just not going to touch it. This is pretty tight actually, so I think that's good. If you're just using it as a regular screw in, screw out die, I think this works fine. So personally for me, I really enjoy the Breech lock bushing system. To be honest, also I don't enjoy the old style Lee O-ring lock rings, which kind of drives me crazy. So the combination of the two means I will be removing the button and use it as it just is buttonless. Like, again, on many other presses in the Lee lineup. In the end, it's a decision you will have to make. But from my understanding, from what Lee Precision has shown me from an official perspective, I don't think it's going to affect the precision of this press overall, the consistency of this press overall. But if you have any questions or any experiment you want me to do with my Breech lock Challenger, please let me know. Otherwise, have a great day.